What made you want to be the lead sponsor on not only the Violence Against Women Act, which made it past the finish line in the House, but also the crucial fix to the Victims of Crime Act?
Yeah, I mean, in the district I represent, and in every other district across the country, we've seen firsthand how the Violence Against Women Act, VAWA, and the Victims of Crime Act, VOCA, both of those programs have produced tangible life-saving results. And in my own community, a Women's Place, it's a community-based social change organization committed to ending domestic violence. In our own community, and I've seen it up front and close and personal, it served as an essential life-saving resource for victims of domestic violence and their families for over 4 decades. And from raising awareness to providing shelter services and crisis intervention, a Women's Place has saved countless lives and helped a lot of both women and children who are in imminent danger. Another organization in my community, Network of Victim Assistance, NOVA, has helped over 3,600 victims of sexual assault, human trafficking, stalking, and various other very serious crimes against women. So a Women's Place and NOVA are 2 examples of what I've seen in my own community, who they can't do their work without the support of both VAWA and VOCA. So both programs are very important for organizations doing very important work, and we just wanted to connect the 2 and get them both across the finish line, which we did this week.
You did, and congratulations again for making that happen. So we understand that both bills now move to the Senate, and as it progresses through the Senate, I'm curious to know, considering the improvements that were made both to the Violence Against Women Act as well as to this crucial fix to the Victims of Crime Act to sustain the fund, I'm curious to learn what your priorities are in each bill.
Well, I mean, I wanted to be the lead sponsor on both bills because they're essential to our efforts here in Pennsylvania and across the country in combating domestic violence and supporting survivors. They're not partisan issues, which is why I put a special emphasis on working to build a bipartisan consensus for both pieces of legislation. I'm the vice chair. There's a number of caucuses in Congress. You have on the far right, you have the Freedom Caucus. On the left, you have Progressive Caucus, and then you have a bunch as you inch towards the center of the continuum. I'm not only a member, I'm the vice chair of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. We have 27 Democrats, 27 Republicans. I'm the leader of that caucus. That's what we believe in. We believe in building bipartisan consensus to get things done. And it's initiatives like this where that caucus affiliation that I have come in very, very handy because I'm able to build that. Support for victims programs like victim services, prevention, training, education, enforcement, economic stability, and other vital programs to support survivors, to help them heal, and to access justice. VOCA grants, as I alluded to earlier, are the primary source of federal funding for thousands of vital victim service providers across America, including programs that serve victims of domestic violence, assault, child abuse, trafficking, drunk driving, so many different violations. And it was just an honor to be a part of it. But I think, if you're a serious legislator, as they say down here on the Hill, there's 2 types of legislators. There's workhorses and show horses. Those of us that are workhorses are the ones that are rolling up our sleeves, coming to the center, building consensus with our colleagues on both sides of the aisle to get these things done. And we were able to get it across the finish line of the House. As far as priorities, I think updating the SMART prevention program to reduce dating violence, engaging men in preventing violence, this along with improving grants focused on prevention education, expanding training in school-based and campus health centers are also crucial to the long-term violence prevention efforts. I think we need to make sure we educate men and boys about domestic violence just as much as we are educating women and girls, which is why updating the SMART prevention program is so important. We can drive home the point that domestic and gender-based violence of any kind or any kind of violence is unacceptable starting at a young age and build a culture that works to continuously educate our communities. And this is an issue that we all have to work together to address across the board. We all have a role to play in that. By the way, I just want to mention also that part of the VAWA bill that passed yesterday was language that we had added. It's called Caden's Law. It's named after Caden Mancuso, a young 7-year-old beautiful child who was murdered, a resident of our district. She would be 10 years old this year because of the brokenness of the family court system that we've seen in so many districts across the country when the tough decisions of child custody are made. And we were able to get that language in to the VAWA bill as well. So we really made some significant improvements over the previous version.
Absolutely. I keep feeling the need to thank you and congratulate you over and over because I think the improvements made to VAWA and the House version are really substantial, things that are really responsive to the needs of the movement and what survivors have been telling us for a long time, and centering those needs. So again, thank you and congratulations on that win. I'm curious to learn as well as we proceed to the Senate now, there's still much advocacy needed to actually get these improvements signed into law. And curious to know if you have any advice to us as advocates, to the advocates doing the direct service in the field, providing that safety planning and crisis counseling to survivors as we work to elevate the needs of survivors as these important bills move through. What advice do you have for advocates when they engage with Congress and to work with Congress?
Yeah, the most important piece of advice I can give is stay engaged with your local representative, your member of Congress, and their staff. It's very important. There are 435 House districts, congressional districts across the country. The advice I always give to organizations I care about that I want to help them advocate is find at least one, but hopefully more than one, multiple advocates in your district and assign them and task them with regular communication with their local representative staff and the member themselves. It's so important because it's advocates like yourself that have the on-the-ground knowledge and can play a crucial role in educating congressional offices on priorities, on legislation that can make a difference. And if you want to really increase the chance of engaging a member on an issue, it is always so important to have constituents of that representative, preferably a large group of constituents that request a meeting, whether it be virtual or in person, ideally with the member, but also with the staff to make sure that that member is engaged. They know that there's a strong appetite in their community for advancement and improvement on this issue. And that's how you really advance the legislative process.
Great, thank you so much. That's fabulous advice. And you touched on this a little bit, but I just have one last question. I know you spoke about the local programs in your district, which ties into kind of that constituent need that you're speaking to. But I'm curious to learn from your perspective, why are these bills in particular and your championing of domestic and sexual violence issues so important for Pennsylvania specifically?
Yeah, I mean, they're so important because they're focused on meeting the immediate needs of domestic violence survivors and other victims of crime. We have to take steps to prevent violence from happening and ensure that if and when it does happen, that we're able to support and empower victims and bring the perpetrators of these horrible crimes to justice. The Violence Against Women Act will enable us to do just that. And VOCA also provides essential funding streams for victims and survivors to help them rebuild their lives. So the two pieces of legislation work in tandem with one another. And they will, no doubt, if we get them across the finish line, and that's our next job, we can't be satisfied with them just passing the House. We're not satisfied until it's enshrined in law because that's when it helps people in their lives. But when we do that, it will undoubtedly protect and save the lives of victims and survivors, not just across Pennsylvania, but across the country.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Congressman. Thank you again for championing these important issues. Thank you for not only helping us get it through the House, but also seeing it through until it's on President Biden's desk and signed into law, and really providing that crucial help to survivors on the ground. Thank you for taking time to speak with us today to reflect on this accomplishment and to see it all the way through. Thank you.